First Watch now.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch on 92.3 KWCD.
Brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
So this week, we're wrapping up now. It's Detention Officer Week.
Yes, it is. And we were down there every day, embracing our officers within our 3 jails. We have 3 jails in the county, one in Wilcox, Sierra Vista, and our main complex in Bisbee. And so, again, it's a lot of days. People say, oh, we're always celebrating some kind of day. But there's a reason we do that. There's truly a reason to recognize the professionals and the men and women that work within these facilities and organizations. So it was a proud week for us to be able to recognize our officers and staff that, again, you've heard me say on the show, my word, amazing job within that facility. And they safeguard the people in the jail, and they keep that up and running every day. And some facilities got a lot of challenges, and I've hit on that before, but they overcome that, and then they provide that leadership and that training and discipline that we need in the jail.
And we gave them a lot of love on our Facebook page this week as well.
We did, and Carol does an amazing job on that.
We're still at it, so keep looking for those photos. We have a whole bunch more to go.
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
It was. Yeah, I know our kitchen staff took care of them. We fed them a couple meals and just all the different things.
And they're going to do it again today.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, it's really something because, again, I've always said this, when you work in detention, it's not like any other job necessarily.
No.
Because if you can imagine, if you're a smoker or if you, like to take walks or whatnot, you can't just like pop up from your desk and just go for a smoke or go just get some sunshine or whatnot. You're actually an inmate inside that jail because that's your work environment. So you're behind the bars with the inmates, and it's really difficult. And I think it's a hard job. You have to have the right mindset to be able to do that, and everybody we have working down there does an outstanding job at that.
Well, you always talk about physical security of any complex, any facility, any business. I mean, our physical security is the top, if you think about it. And then you look at the mental challenges to work within a facility like that, like you're talking about. It's a tough place to work, and that's our biggest challenge, is finding people to work within the jail. So though I go down there, I thank them just for working. Thank you for serving us. Thank you for what you do.
And we are looking for people to work in the jail, and you can find out more on our website at cochise.az.gov, and the jobs are posted there. And we've also got, have you guys heard Sergeant Gojkovic's new commercial on the radio looking for detention workers?
We have.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it.
We'll play it here in a few for you.
Oh, yeah, good, because he's a good sergeant. I just saw him the other day when I stopped by the Sierra Vista jail.
Yep, so that's live on the air now, too. So keep listening for that and apply if you would like. Also, events are starting to come back now, and Wyatt Earp Days are coming to Tombstone.
Wyatt Earp, yes, it's coming. The Tombstone, all the Tombstone events. Every weekend Tombstone has an event, and it's great. And I know Gordon Anderson does an amazing job. I'm going to give him a shout-out this morning in regards to bringing outside talent and interest into Tombstone. He sent me one last night. They got a celebrity coming, and I'll get that to you, Carol, for their Wyatt Earp Days. And so look for that on our Facebook for the celebrity coming.
We put that on our Facebook last night.
Did you get it already?
I did. Yeah. And the guy, everybody's going to know him, but I cannot think of his name right now. But everybody is going to know this guy because he's been in so many different shows. So when you take a look at the picture, you're going to say, I know him, but you may not know his name. But he's going to be there at the end of May. So it's at May 28th, which is a Friday, is when he's going to show up.
In fact, I think he was on that Netflix series Ranch. Or was it The Ranch?
I think so.
I think he was on that, too. And, yeah, he's got that familiar face. Once you see him, you'll recognize who he is. And I can't think of his name either. I recognized him last night when Gordon said that to me.
And make sure that, go to Tombstone. It's going to be a weekend of fun. So Wyatt Earp Days, the whole thing.
Well, you can tell the people are getting back out and being active again. I mean, we go back to our Cars for Kids. It was so packed, and you just see more traffic out there. You see more shopping out there. And, again, it's just a lot of people out there. Who is it?
It's Barry Corbin.
Yes.
And yes, you will recognize that face.
Yeah, like I said, you'll see it. You won't recognize the name.
Right.
You'll recognize the face.
And that's up on our Facebook page. I just went and looked myself, so now that's how I know. But yeah, go take a look at it. You'll go, oh yeah, that guy.
And speaking of getting out there more, exciting stuff. We had our Academy graduate yesterday, and Grady was there doing Facebook Live, so hopefully you got to take a look at that. But, pretty exciting times for having new officers come onto the fold.
Yeah, it is. And Sergeant Wilson and his team down there at the academy, and J.D. Rottweiler from the college, and him and his team. It's a great partnership, and Adam Thrasher, I know they provide us a RTO, which is the counselor down there. It takes a lot of effort to put together. It really does, but it's so nice to have our own homegrown academy here where we're getting local recruits, training them locally, and then putting them in the local community. So congrats to all our graduates from yesterday.
And Sergeant Hernandez he was there yesterday too, but he's been through the whole academy experience. And then this is his first time, joining into it. So I think he's going to take the helm or pretty close to it in the next academy. So good luck, Ty.
Yeah, Randy's going to step back for a class. So Sergeant Ty Hernandez, who's a sergeant of our Douglas area, is now going to be the lead sergeant for the academy starting in August. So I know he's excited about that. I talked to him several months ago. I said, Ty, you ready to do this? Yeah, and he was. He's a 20-year guy. He knows the business. He's very tactically sound and knows law enforcement inside and out. So I'm looking forward to him to share 20 years of experience with our new recruits.
And speaking of events, last weekend was the Kentucky Derby. I love the Kentucky Derby. And so we posted on there on our Facebook, just as a side note, as an educational thing, because people are getting back out there. You want your mint julep. You want to make sure that you just go and socialize with people. So we posted that. And we got a little bit of blowback on animal cruelty for the horses, that sport is just like a greyhound racing sport. And so that was not our intent. So I want to tell everybody listening, seriously, it was not. Our intent was educational. We want to make sure that people knew that if they were going out there, even though they couldn't be necessarily in Louisville for the event with their hats and, their finery, that please don't drink and drive. So that was our intent of that post.
And you can spin a negative on anything. I mean, I had the advantage to go to the Kentucky Derby. We had Louisville. It was a National Sheriff's Conference in Louisville a couple of years ago, so we all went there. And just the flavor, just the atmosphere was just, if you haven't experienced it, it's just an experience. I mean, it's been around for I don't know how many years, but it's
147.
I was going to say it's got to be 100 years. And that's pretty good, Carol. And so it's a neat event to go to. And again, I'm not that much into horse races and things like that, but just to see it once, it was pretty cool. So what we put on our Facebook is not to be intended to be mean at all. There's always a purpose, like you say, don't drink and drive, but people can spin it. I mean, I deal with that. So one of the hardest things I deal with is when people call and they twist things or they conspire, whatever it may be, and those are the hardest thing to deal with because it's like, wow, you took this in a whole different direction. Let's reroute here. So it's hard.
There was an arrest this week that kind of made some headlines with a Border Patrol retired agent who was arrested.
Right, and this, this individual, if convicted and the facts show to be true, is a huge community risk. And based on what I know, this is a sad situation living in our county. Obviously, we had a case here in Cochise County, and majority of those cases came out of the Maricopa area up there, and that's where and this is a program, and Carol, you can talk a little bit about this too, where we're sharing our DNA on sexual assault cases, looking for solutions, and this was an example of that.
That's right. So they had grant funding available because if you're talking about taking all of your unsolved cases with sexual assaults and you have to have those kits submitted for DNA, we hadn't previously, like a majority of other law enforcement agencies, smaller or more rural, hadn't had them processed. There was a thought process behind that in the beginning to include, do you submit it, what it's going to happen to it, the cost associated with it. So the Department of Public Safety submitted a request for a grant, and they were approved through some nationwide facility 2 years ago. They got their money last year, and so they contacted us as one of the participants, and we sent all of our DNA kits that we had on unsolved cases. So we sent all of that up to Phoenix, and they were able to process that. So what's going to happen from here is they're able to get all of the information they need and then put it into a database, CODIS. So that they make sure that if they ever get any other DNA submitted from anywhere, to the same system, that we'll have a match, and then we'll be able to tell what's going on. So the question came with this Border Patrol agent, did Cochise County Sheriff's Office have any cases? And we haven't been notified of any matches between his DNA and all of our cases that have been submitted. So everyone that we have went up there. I think there were 17. So they went up there and they made sure that they processed it. So we don't have any, but Bisbee Police Department is in fact working a case related to the same individual.
You know, this was a situation about 4 years ago where the governor initiated a sexual assault committee where, because our DNA, sexual assault kits, just how can we do a better job and how can we get them sexual assault kits up to par, because there was such a delay in it, and it wasn't being coordinated well. So as a result, I think this is part of what we're seeing here today. And very, very sad. I'm happy for the victims, if happy is even the word, where there's some solutions, there's some justice going to be served here, and that's most important. I mean, it's a horrific act what this man was doing, and whether he's Border Patrol or whoever he was, irrelevant to the fact. That is an evil, horrific crime that I'm glad there's going to be some justice.
Right, and he's still in our jail. So
no bond.
No bond. You know, so Brian McIntyre, our county attorney, is working hard on making sure that he keeps those types of things in place, not specifically for this case, but for all cases. But we're talking about this case and working closely with other agencies, including Mesa, to make sure that this guy stays in our jail until he gets further adjudicated.
Well, you know, the bond system, you know, I kudos to Brian McIntyre, because the original warrant had a bond of $500,000. Brian actually worked hard with his staff to get that pushed with a no bond. And you look at, you know, the cases that they're investigating, some of the cases that are still being looked at, as we know, that will probably come out in the future. The bottom line is this guy needs to stay locked up. There's no doubt about it. He's a complete threat to our communities.
We also have some new scams that are hitting the area, and actually they're new, but the same old, same old.
It's the same old, and I've talked to a couple people on that, and I mean, it's just sad that we have that in today's world, that people are scamming, and they do it in a way that makes them feel it's real. That's the bottom line. But I keep telling people, I mean, a lady called me the other night and said, Sheriff, I got scammed. She got scammed for about $4,000 here in the county, and her husband kept saying, don't do it, and then she called me, and she was like, I can't believe I fell for this. It's easier to fall for it. We all sit back and shake, you should never give them that money. But these scammers are good. They're really good. So I would just say, be very careful on that. Now they're using my name, saying, you know, I'm calling with a warrant. I'm not going to call you. If you have a warrant, I'm not going to call you. I'm going to go knock on your door. And it won't be me. It'll be one of my deputies or an officer from one of the agencies here. But, again, it goes back to just if it doesn't make sense, or why would the sheriff call me, give us a call and let us verify that. Now, if you're wanted, you're probably not going to want to call us. But please do. I mean, we ask you to call us.
Well, the scary part on that most recent one, and they're all scary because you're right. They're so good at trying to get your money, but pretending to be you, first and foremost, but then actually providing the person that they called with their own personal information. So, for example, the woman they called, they knew her address. They knew particulars about her that she doesn't know how they got it, but she was making the assumption that you or whoever the caller was got it from her driver's license. And so that's kind of scary.
Well, it is. It's in a technological society right now where so much information is out there. People just got to be very careful. We keep saying this, be vigilant, protect your identity. I can't say that enough. Be suspicious. There's nothing wrong with that. I tell people all the time, be suspicious. And if it doesn't seem right, good chance it's not right. And stay atop of that, but always call us. We'll always be your fact checker on that if you got something like that. And I'm not going to call and say you have a warrant. I can just promise you that right now.
And another scary one is when they call and they say, hey, this is Rhonda, and I'm calling you on a recorded line. Can you hear me? How many times do you say yes?
Oh, yeah, I know.
So you just have to be so careful with things like that. Just hang up.
Well, they're clever. And I've come to the point, even this is, and I've heard people say this to me too, is when you get a call and you don't recognize the number. Mm-hmm. And they're very good about spoofing the calls.
Yes.
Which means they're using a local number. I had one do this the other day. A salesman did this to me the other day, and it was Wilcox. And I try to answer calls within my county because that's a citizen. So I answered it, and it was a salesman. I'm like, wow. I go and ask him, where are you at? I'm in New York. Wow, take care, bye. You know. So, again, it goes back to if I don't know who it is, I don't answer it. Leave me a message, and I'll get back to you right away if it's something you need.
And there's other ways they can scam you, but gift cards, if they're asking for gift cards, that should be an automatic red flag.
And that's where the one I was just talking about, that's what they did. They went down and got gift cards. Payments aren't made through gift cards. No organization is going to take a gift card, I promise you on that.
And once you do the gift card and you give them the code, you can't get that back because they automatically convert that immediately into something else, whether it's other gift cards, whether it's Bitcoin, and you're never going to get it back.
No.
So you're just done. And there's really no way to follow up on that. I mean, we've talked about that before where you've tried, and it's just super difficult, like chasing your tail consistently.
It truly is. I mean, it's very complex. They're not local, number one, and a lot of times it goes beyond the boundaries of the United States. So that even makes it tougher.
We've had some sheriffs from out of Arizona visit us. Tell us about why they were here.
We had some sheriffs. It's to protect. It's called a program, Protect America, sponsored by sheriffs. Sheriff Lamb's big into that. Sheriff Lamb from Pinal County, Sheriff Tony Childers from Livingston, Illinois, and Sheriff Sam Page from North Carolina all came down, and we did a press conference down here on the border, and the message is clear. Let's protect our borders. Let's protect our country and our communities, and that's what they came down for. So it was a nice visit from them, and I also utilized them as same day as the National Guard was doing their orientation here at the Sheriff's Office, and so they all spoke to the National Guard folks and welcomed them. So it was a nice welcoming to our servicemen. And
the border issues do continue, and so do the interviews.
They do, Grady, and in fact I did 2 yesterday, and it's frustrating. I'll just say that. It's so frustrating because I know we can do a better job. In fact, I think there's an expectation and a mandate within our oath and that we all will, local, state, and federal leaders working together. And unfortunately, all it takes is one hiccup, and then in that level, whether it be a state, whether it be local, or be a federal leader that doesn't want to do that, and then you got problems. Some updates from our office, since January 1 to the end of April, our border stats off our camera system. Let me emphasize that, our camera system. We've had 11,392 illegal entries, 38 drug smugglers, and over 800 pounds of illicit drugs. I mean, that's just in the first 4 months. I mean, and where we've been last year at this time, we were seeing no drugs, maybe 300 to 400 come across our camera per month. And now, last month alone was 3,800 plus off our cameras. So, and I think this stat, the next one I'm going to give you, is really vital. We're part of the Tucson sector, which includes Pima County, Santa Cruz County, and Cochise. In the Tucson sector since fiscal year, this is October 1, this is a federal fiscal year, with an incline on the bell curve every month, which means it's increasing, we've had over 60,000 getaways. Those are ones that have been seen on a camera that were not caught. 60,000 and increasing. That's scary. We lead the nation when it comes to getaways in this country on the borders. In fact, we're the second busiest overall when it comes to smuggling, let alone that stat, which is number one, 60,000 getaways. We had the death. We had a death on our county of a migrant that was found out there 8 miles to track in to get him and to recover his remains. And it is. And here's what scares me. We utilize the Pima County morgue. In 2020, we had 181 John and Jane Does come through this region of the state that were found deceased, that were processed by a sheriff's office, either mine or Pima or Santa Cruz County. And I'm really worried what's going to happen in 2021 with the flow coming through. And remember, in my county, these are people that don't want to be caught. They're very covert. They're being smuggled by the cartels. But last but not least, they're in areas that, unless a hiker or remote, saw hunters out there in the remote areas, we won't find it for months. We'll find a skull, we'll find remains, and then we get involved. But it's humanitarian at its worst to allow this kind of behavior.
And search and rescue obviously gets activated during this, and they do an outstanding job. But again, their calls are continually elevated, and they went out on this one as well to make sure that they helped get it, because they are in such a remote area, and there's really no other mechanism in place to get services out there to them.
Well, anytime we have, like you're hitting on, Carol, we have a deceased person in the desert, or in our county, wherever, in the mountains. I mean, we had the rescue last week, where the migrant was left behind by the group, and we ended up bringing the helicopter in. Our team was up there. Border Patrol was up there, of course. I mean, and this is about humanitarian. This is about taking care of somebody's in distress, but it's a lot of work, and a lot of tax dollars.
And another thing facing law enforcement nationwide is, law enforcement reform. So off of the immigration over to the law enforcement reform. And so you authored a letter with Chief Napier and making sure that everybody is getting the information out there. So tell us a little bit about what the content of that was.
It's a balanced letter that we feel talks about we all can do a better job in law enforcement. I sit here as the sheriff in this county and think we always can do a better job. I tell people that all the time. But let's not fracture something that's not fractured. I mean, if it's not broke, it's not broke. We like to break. It's almost like we're all broke and we're fractured to a point of no repair. I don't buy into that theory. I buy into the theory that let's look at how we police in 2021. How can we meet the needs of our community, which is a different community than Chicago, Illinois, or New York? So it's a balanced approach about recognizing what are the new social mandates that we need to be looking at as police chiefs and sheriffs, and that's really, and I welcome you to take a look at that. It's going to be on our Facebook if it's not already on there. Take a look at that and give us your feedback, because we're your law enforcement and we want to make sure we're meeting your needs. Same reason we have the PAC, the group of folks, the citizens that we work with once a month and talk about challenges in law enforcement. And the biggest thing for me is I'm big into transparency and making sure that the facts are out there. People, the extreme side of it, I call it, people that go out and say things that totally are not true and just make it up and push issues, tell their friends this, and then next thing you know, you're fighting off perceptions and rumors or things that are false, but they get a narrative of their own. And those are hard things. And that's why we want to make sure that we're policing in a society today that takes on social media. Let's face it, whether I like social media or not, I didn't grow up with social media, but it's part of today's society. We have to police with social media. And so that's an example where I think, can we do a better job? Yes. But I'll be honest, I'll never be the smartest guy in the room, but hopefully I'm looking to strive with people that we can put that in place. That's what that letter is all about.
And we'll make sure we get that out there, because there are so many different viewpoints, like you said, and so many different dynamics facing law enforcement specifically right now. So we'll make sure that we get that out there and people can take a look and see what's going on. And you mentioned the PACT. Again, that's a group of, that's one of the things that we're trying to address as the law enforcement and our public, and we've included all law enforcement agencies, local, state, and federal, within Cochise County with this group. It's a strict requirement to get in there. You have to be nominated. You have to be vetted. So we're down to 17 people. They're able to take a look, meet in different locations. They've already had 2 meetings so far. The third one is coming up this month in Benson. So we're really hoping that is beneficial for members of this group, but I think it's been beneficial for us from the Sheriff's Office standpoint, because at least we have everybody coming together and we're able to use that medium to get the word out and then gather information back in.
It's all about outreaching. It truly is. And I had a person tell me, well, this was an elected official. You guys in government, we shouldn't market. We shouldn't be out there in the community marketing. And I'll be honest with you, I totally disagree with that theory. We should be marketing, especially in law enforcement. We should be transparent. We should be out there on a marketing campaign, letting people know what our culture is, what our mission is, and how we're applying that every day. If we're not doing that, that's a failure on me as a sheriff and my team. And we'll continue to do it. We'll continue to be transparent. Unfortunately, just like we on this issue with the Border Patrol we were just talking about on the sexual assaults, I had media calling me before we could put anything out there, and that's tough for me sometimes. But we got to be guarded when it comes to investigative security. We're not going to, challenge or jeopardize an investigation for transparency on that either. And I know it sounds bad to say it like that, but we have to protect the victims. We have to protect the investigations.
And one of the things that before we forget really quickly, that our portion of it, our role in that, dealt with evidence. We'll just leave it at that. But
yes.
So we want to say thank you so much to our evidence custodians, Ursula, and to Roy. Thank you for what you do, because I'll tell you, super busy after that one.
Yeah, what about 300 evidence items were put into our evidence room as a result of that case. And those are tough cases because we want to yield to the agency that's leading it. In this case, it was out of Mesa. So we're not. I talked to the police chief in Mesa this week a couple times, and we wanted to make sure. And I know we connected you and their PIO, because when you come into a community, and I talked to Chief Thrasher from Sierra Vista PD because they were involved, to make sure that we're yielding to the agency that's leading it. Because the last thing you want to do is jump out there. It's not about who gets on the media first. Trust me on that one. We want to make sure the investigation is done right. That's most important in what we do in law enforcement.
And going back to the PAC that we just mentioned, they're going to be judging our Top Cop coming up. So let's talk about what Top Cop is.
I think Top Cop, we put it together several years ago. Carol and I came together on this, and this is a program where all the law enforcement agencies, local, state, and federal, nominate their Officer of the Year. And then we take that nomination and we put it to a civilian group. This year we're going to use the PAC group, that our community group, and they will judge it, and they won't know what agency it is or know what person's name. They just get to read the narrative of what that officer or deputy or agent did for the year, and then they pick the top cop. I don't even know who it is. We have no choice in that. There's no cops judging this. This is all community. And then Top Cop, we'll bring all the nominees together. We recognize every nominee, and then the Cochise County, based on that group's our selection, will be the top cop. And so far we've had an ATF, I think it was an ATF win it, and then who had DPS, I think it was.
Right. And so, yes, and I think you're correct. And we weren't able to do it last year because of COVID.
Yes.
It's going to be a little bit modified this year, trying to get back into it. Some agencies, and the really good thing is some agencies have big events to an award ceremony, if you will, to honor, different sections of their organization, whether it's support, whether it's law enforcement, the patrol deputies or officers. So you have that side of it, but on the other side of the coin, you have smaller agencies that maybe don't have that type of a program in place. So this allows us to come together, again, multi-agency, and just have a good time. Recognize everybody's individual for that particular agency for the year, and then an overall. And you're right, it's absolutely not biased in any way. So just because the sheriff's office is sponsoring this doesn't mean it's going to be a sheriff's office deputy.
We haven't won yet. I just pointed that out.
So we're going to do it again. So we'll see how this goes. And so we're pretty excited to have it. It's next Friday. It's going to be at Sierra Vista Police Department. And again, trying to pull all this together in these times a little bit different. Modifications are sometimes hard, but we're going to get it done, and then we're just going to keep going down that road and do better.
Well, we also do it in conjunction with Police Week.
Right.
And that's part of it. We'll talk more about that next week. But as Police Week quickly approaches us, we think it's a good time to recognize the top cop and all our law enforcement in Cochise County. And we're a rural county. We work very close together. And again, it just brings us together.
Well, wildfire season is upon us. It's starting to get dry and hot out there. It
is, and let me tell you, it's so dry. Even the mesquite trees are turning green this year. Have you seen that? I've never seen that before.
Right.
It's so brown, and these trees just don't want to bloom. They're like, no, there's not enough moisture to get me out there yet. So we need water bad, but we also need people to be very safe when it comes to fire. And we had a big fire yesterday.
Right. It was in south of Sierra Vista, and it was actually a structure. The fire departments that responded, did a great job, but somebody got injured out of that. Don't have all the details on it, but maybe you know a little bit more. We just want to make sure people are aware of that.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense fire. They lost the residents, the cars, and sad, they lost both their pets. So, and I think one of the occupants was also transported and injured. So, and this was an elderly couple that was home. So I talked to the fireman last night, and it was a tough fire. And just the deputies out there listening to this and talking to the folks around there, keeping the people back was a challenge yesterday. It was such an intense fire. So again, just be very careful. And it's primed to burn right now. It really is just primed to burn.
And they had one last weekend in the Sonoyta area, and that's so scary because if you are familiar with Sonoyta, you see all the grasslands, and it just gives you horrific flashbacks, almost PTSD to the Monument fire. So you want to make sure, please don't throw your cigarettes out. Please be so careful. Don't barbecue in an area where you think a spark might get loose. Don't take red flag warnings for granted. And even if you think, it's not going to be bad, I'll just be able to control it. Just, please don't do that because it impacts everybody.
Well, it's been windy too. More than normal windy. So, and I've been watching people, and just my travels, I'll see somebody with a cigarette, and they'll have the cigarette in their hand out the window, and while they smoke going down the road. And I'm just watching, and I'll tell you, if they drop it, I'm going to write them. That's just something I'm very serious about. I mean, that rolling torch just rolls right off into the shoulder, and pretty soon here you got a fire, and that's when destruction begins. And look at the Monument Fire. I mean, that went on for over a week. 70 structures were burnt down, changed a lot of people's lives. It's just so preventable.
And Cochise County is jumping back to modifications a little bit. Sorry, we're jumping around there. That was me. They're doing a lot of good things with COVID-19 vaccinations. So just want to throw that out there as a final note. They had Copper Queen Hospital that was doing them on a walk-in basis. They had Chiricahua that is doing an outstanding job. Then Seago even has a new program that is called Seago Cares to help with mortgage, utilities, in some cases food and clothing. More vaccinations are available countywide, so please, if you want to get that vaccine, go to pod vaccine at azdhs.gov. So that's one of the things that we just need to really keep an eye on, too, making sure you do that.
Yeah, and the vaccines are out there. If you want a vaccine now, I think you pretty much, I don't think you even need an appointment anymore.
And most places you don't.
You don't. I mean, so I saw yesterday down at Copper Queen was doing it. So if you want to be vaccinated, please get your shot. So we're at the tail of this. I'm pretty proud of that.
And segueing off of that, last but not least, is also Nurses Week. So thanks to all of our nurses, specifically in our jail, but all nurses everywhere. Had occasion to interact with them over the past month, and just they do an outstanding job. So thanks to all the nurses for what you do. I'll tell you, that's another job that's not easy.
It's not, and they've had a heck of a year too in 2020, but they're the backbone of medical offices, the backbones of hospitals, and they're the backbone of our medical profession. Nothing against the doctors. If you're a doctor going, what about me, Sheriff? Obviously, doctors are doctors. We know what they do. But nurses, you go as we've all been in hospitals and situations like that. I mean, who you addressing every day is the doctor or the nurse, excuse me. And so again, shout out to all the nurses out there. And I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. And I was, they do very well. And shout out to my wife, Nikki, who's a nurse. Thank you for what you do.
Well, before you go, let's do our safety message of the week. What do you have for us today?
I'm going to convert it to a community message.
Okay.
It's Mother's Day Sunday. Since it's Mother's Day, I mean, we need to give a shout out to all our mothers out there. I mean, you can't say enough. There's not enough good words in the Webster Dictionary to talk about what mothers do when it comes to the patience, the structure, the discipline, the calming, the love, you name it, that mothers do. So give your mother a hug on Sunday, and don't forget to reach out to your mom on Sunday. And that goes to all the sons out there that forget that. So, again, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. And who do we have coming in next, Carol?
We have Town Manager of Huachuca City, Suzanne Harvey. So we're excited to hear from her.
All right. And we're also going to hear our jail spot. That's coming up next for everybody, okay?
Okay.
All right. So everybody listen. Yeah.
All right.
It's First Watch on KWCD Country, and it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
This is Sergeant Gojkovic with the Cochise County Sheriff's Office. The Cochise County Jail is hiring detention officers. Starting salary is $16.15 an hour plus a comprehensive benefits package to include membership in the Correctional Officer Retirement Plan. Must be 18 years of age and have a high school diploma or GED. Applicants must successfully complete a criminal background check, written test, psychometric test, physical ability test, and a physical. You will also attend a training academy within 1 year of being hired. For more information and to apply, visit cochise.az.gov.
It's First Watch Now.
Hosted by Public Information Officer Carol Kappas and Grady Butler.
On 92.3 KWCD.
Brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County. And as a side note, if you're driving to work, please be careful out there. We have Town Manager Suzanne Harvey from the town of Huachuca City. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So a lot of good things happening in Huachuca City, and I know everybody understands where that is if they have to drive to Tucson
Right.
or to Benson or to anywhere north, pretty much. So it's a little community, and it's just doing all kinds of exciting things. So I thought it was important that we have you in here, and again, we appreciate you coming. So tell us a little bit about what's going on. For example, you are now the town manager. Tell us how that came to be.
So we had some personnel turnover recently, and they asked me to step in and be the town manager temporarily. My intent, I love the library. I've been the director of library and community services for quite some time over at Huachuca City. but they needed someone, and so I stepped in to do it temporarily with every intention of going back to be the library director once they hired someone. But I found that I enjoyed it. It's not where my heart is. It's not my calling, if you will, but I enjoyed the challenge, the complexity, and learning new things. I've always loved to learn new things. And then the thing that really took it over the top to me, that made me apply for the job, is, to me, it's public service. I get to serve. I've served my country. I was in the military for 22 years, and now I'm serving my local community. And there's nothing better than that, being able to give back to your community. And I felt like I could make a positive impact on the town for the residents and for the staff. And so I applied, and they gave me the opportunity. I'm very, very grateful for it.
Well, one of the first things that you're doing, kicking off your tenure there, roadway assessment. So tell us a little bit about that.
This is a great thing that we're doing. It's because we're a member of the Sierra Vista Metropolitan Planning Organization, and, you know, shout out to those folks because they're doing an amazing job. They've done some things for us already, like helped us get an emergency signal in the town, which makes it safer for our police and fire when they need to get out on that highway, because, as you mentioned, it's a busy highway. So now we're able to use that preemption signal. Now they have helped us fund and complete a roadway assessment. It is providing very valuable data that will help us with economic development, because, for instance, we're going to have road counts. We're going to know how much traffic, and I suspect it's a lot, is passing through that town. Well, that's attractive to businesses, right? They want to know that there is that traffic, so folks will see their business and stop and buy something. The other thing it's going to provide for us is a blueprint for future planning for improvements and upgrades to our roads, which is desperately needed.
And is it mostly going to focus on Highway 90 going through the town, or is it going to focus on any other, like Gonzales Boulevard or anything else you have that's close to Highway 90?
Oh, absolutely. It is looking at all those feeder roads, and it's also looking at the interior roads of the town. So it is, the Highway 90 is just a small portion of it, to tell you the truth, but it is important, the data that they're gathering for the economic development piece. For our residents, the most important data it's gathering is the condition of the roads and which roads are most traveled.
Good, because you don't want to have a road that's so super traveled. One goes in front of the police department, back around by the pool,
Correct.
and have big old potholes in it. You want to make
Correct.
sure that you see that that's one of your number one priorities, is to get that one taken care of.
Absolutely.
And so one of the other things that you're doing, again, there's so many, so the bus service on a legacy grant. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. So we got a legacy grant, actually, before 2 town managers ago. Matthew Williams was instrumental in getting that grant through the Legacy Foundation, but implementation of the bus service was delayed because COVID hit. We recently started the bus service back. It's running 2 days a week. It takes folks from Huachuca City to various locations here in Sierra Vista, and mostly seniors use it. They are thrilled. We get comments all the time. They don't care where the bus is going. They just want to go somewhere because they've been in their homes. So it's going really, really well, and we hope to expand it soon. Maybe add another day a week, or maybe go out to Whetstone. We're looking at both those options.
Well, because you have a new Dollar General in Whetstone, so
Yes.
that might not be bad. But you don't have a grocery store in Huachuca City yet, so
Correct.
that's going to be a real helpful option for people who need to come and get groceries.
Absolutely, absolutely. We actually have different food distributions also in Huachuca City to help folks with that. I got a phone call once from a lady. I was in town hall. They just passed the phone to me because that's what they do. And it was a young lady from New York City, and she was calling because her mother lived in one of our rent-controlled low-income housing units, didn't have a way to get food, literally. And she said, my mom is, not able to drive. I'm concerned about her. Well, luckily, our Lions Club at that point had a food distribution once a week, which is really close to that apartment complex. I was able to direct her to that, direct her to the VICAP, which is a great program, who was taking her to town to get groceries. But now we have a bus service, and she's riding our bus to go get groceries. So we do try to take care of our residents and make sure that even though we're pretty far from grocery stores, everybody's got something to eat.
Well, tell us about your food distribution, because I've seen, in going through there, specifically in the past couple of weeks, I've seen that you have big signs, and it's distribution today. So Where does that come from, and who does it benefit?
It benefits all low-income folks. There are some criteria for most of them. There are some churches. Antioch Baptist Church does one every Saturday now. I'm not sure that that's income-based, but they give away food boxes. We have a new nonprofit organization in town on the main highway called Sahara. They also will give food to anybody that needs it. And then we've partnered with the Salvation Army, so we do the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona distribution once a month. The third Friday of the month from 8 to 9 in front of the Senior Center. So that's a lot of opportunities. No one, and if anyone is out there and doesn't know about these and needs to know, please call Town Hall and we can give you specific information on where to go and when to go there.
That's right, because you have several opportunities again to feed people.
Absolutely.
And if people need to get, even if they've never been in that position before, if they are hungry and they need to feed their family, please don't think that there's a stigma attached to that, because there's not. Go get help wherever you need it, because you guys are offering it. And for such a small town, I think that you do a big thing.
Absolutely. And I just want to quickly say too, we the library partnered with the Huachuca City Community Garden. So we have a huge garden that grows behind the library now, and we distribute fresh vegetables during the summer through that program as well. I think it was 5,000 pounds last year.
Wow. And who I know you started the community garden. I remember when you were here last time, that was a to-do on your list. So congratulations on that. But who takes care of that? Who does all of that?
The folks, it's a nonprofit. It's Huachuca City Community Garden. So we just partnered with them. All we did was say, okay, we can get some water for you. We can provide a space. They're the ones doing it. And it's going to expand. COVID, again, put a delay to this. Eventually, we're going to be teaching people to garden. So there will be gardening classes, too. Last year, we distributed the fruits or just vegetables, actually. We distributed the vegetables, but in the future, we'll actually be teaching folks also.
So they can find out if a tomato is a fruit or a vegetable, right?
Oh, wait. It is
You're right.
a fruit, I think. So we did distribute some of those.
That's right. So you also have a way to get people integrated into the town. So you have the senior center, you have game nights and senior social hours. So what do you do with all of that, and how many people attend?
So our social hours, we were doing that before COVID. We had to stop, obviously. We're excited to get going again. They're going to start on May 19th. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 10 to 2. And the senior center is open, and folks just bring coffee, bring snacks, and come and hang out with each other. And we have anywhere from 5 to 20 people throughout the day. And it's mostly run by volunteers. The game night was hugely popular, and this will be our first one since COVID. It's June 3rd. It starts at 5 o'clock, and we do that at the Senior Center. Again, it's run by volunteers. This is our community taking care of our community, which is one of the things that I love about it. So they play games, and they bring snacks, and they hang out, and we had upwards of 25 to 30 people attending those. So I hope we get back to it. You know, we're seeing this, I think everybody's seeing this. We stopped doing things because of COVID, and we're building back up to
Right.
our previous numbers.
Right.
So as we're building those kind of things up, what are the summer plans for Huachuca City?
Oh my goodness. So our summers are fun. They always are. Our pool will be opening soon. We need to get some trained lifeguards. So if you're looking for a job and you're age 16 or above, please call Town Hall, because we've got a job for you. We're looking for lifeguards. As soon as we get them trained, we'll open. It should be late May, early June when we open the pool. It's a small pool, but you don't have to drive anywhere. It's right in town. It's perfect for our folks. Summer Splash is a half-day camp that we've been doing for a long time. My son is 17. When he was in kindergarten, he went to this. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with that community, and I've stayed there. It's run by the town, and we partner with a school, and we use the gymnasium for it. So kids, instead of sitting at home and playing video games and watching TV, they come from 8 to 2, and they do things like they go to the library once a week, they go to the pool 2 or 3 times a week, they have some educational events. I think they're going to have a reptile show this year. They do all sorts of fun activities, and it's a great way to get them out of the house. It's open to kids kindergarten through 7th grade. Meals are provided. They get breakfast and lunch. And it's $70 is all it is for 4 weeks. There's 2 sessions, 4 weeks each. $70 is all it costs for the whole 4 weeks for kids that live in our school district, which is the Tombstone School District, or attend the school there. If you live out of district, it's $100. It's an amazing program. And we do have scholarships, so folks that don't have that $70 or that $100, we have scholarships available, and we're always looking for sponsors. So if there's a business out there or even individual that wants to sponsor a kid to go to that camp this summer, please call the library at 456-1063 and let them know so that we can get those kids in there. And then the last thing, 2 more things actually for the summer, we have our summer reading program. We have a new library director. Her name is Steph Fulton. She's amazing. She's coming to us from the Elfrida Library. I've known her for years, and I know that she is going to continue the work of our library. She's going to make it even greater than it already is. But in the summer reading program, it's for children ages preschool all the way to high school, and there's going to be an adult program this year. And they've got lots of fun activities. And then the last thing we've got going on this summer is a parks upgrade planned. We received almost $500,000 in a CDBG grant, a Community Block Development Block Grant, and we will be upgrading our parks after the 4th of July because our big 4th of July event is a huge amount of fun, hot dogs, free, a band, fun activities and games for the kids with prizes. It's one of my favorite activities that we do in Huachuca City, and it's a tradition.
And you're going to have a parade.
We don't have a parade. We have fireworks.
Oh, I thought you guys had a parade down Gonzales last year. No?
No, not for the 4th of July. 4th of July is in the park right behind the police station. It's called Leffingwell Park, and it's a fun family event. Again, free food, free music, and lots of little games and stuff for the kids to play. And then at the end, fireworks. And we have a pretty good little fireworks show for such a small town.
You definitely do.
Yes.
And so your parks upgrade, what are you going to do?
Well, we have a skate park, which is one of the most popular things that we have as far as parks go. That's going to get resurfaced, resurfacing basketball courts. And then Leffingwell Park, which is the main city park, it's getting a complete overhaul. So it's going to be redesigned, some new playground equipment. We're putting a sprinkler system in to help our public works crew not have to move these big sprinklers. And then Keyline Park, which is our sports park, is also going to get a sprinkler system and resodded. So it's exciting.
And then you mentioned that you have some openings. So you have openings for lifeguards?
Yes, we do. And we're looking for a Summer Splash aide to help with that Summer Splash program. And we actually have an opening for a council member. We lost one of our council members unexpectedly, Mayor Pro Tem Donna Johnson. She was an institution in our town, much loved, well known in the community. She truly loved Huachuca City and did her best. So it's a great loss, and it's going to be big boots to fill, but we need someone to step up and do that. We have an opening, and it's a great way to serve your community and have a voice in your local government, be able to be part of actually deciding what's best for the town. So I would encourage anyone who's civic-minded, who's interested in seeing good things happen in Huachuca City, step up to the plate. It's a way to serve.
Do you have to be a resident of Huachuca City?
You must be a resident of Huachuca City, and you have to be 18 years of age or older.
Well, what a way to just jump right into that particular spectrum and see what's going on. And can you imagine a younger person even, or somebody who's just retired, or anybody who loves their community the way that you do, that I hear in your voice?
Absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity.
And Suzanne, we thank you for coming and talking to us and catching us up on everything Huachuca City.
Thank you.
It's First Watch on KWCD Country, and it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch with the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler.
Join us again next Friday morning, 7 to 8 a.m.
First Watch.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Only on 92.3 KWCD.